In this episode, we'll take the next big step, turning your personal strategy into a clear set of long-term objectives. These are the high-impact commitments that will shape your next 1 to 3 years, the bridge between vision and action.
Long-term planning is the bridge between your strategic vision and your tactical weekly plans. It gives form to your aspirations, not as vague wishes, but as specific objectives you can work towards steadily. Think of it like sailing across an unpredictable sea. You can't predict the waves or the wind, but if you've set your compass clearly and adjust your sails with care, you'll arrive where you're meant to go. Your long-term objectives are those compass points. They give you something stable to move toward, even as the world around you shifts.
As Abraham Lincoln once said, "Give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, and I will spend the first 4 sharpening the axe." That's what long-term planning is. Sharpening the axe so that when action comes, it cuts deep and it cuts true. So, how do you actually create your long-term plan? Here are the 5 key steps we'll walk through together. Revisit your personal strategy. Estimate your available time. Estimate your budget. Identify which strategic directions require long-term objectives. Create your long-term objectives. Let's take them one by one.
Start by reviewing your strategy. Ask yourself, which parts of my vision should be implemented in the next 1 to 3 years? Where do I need real transformation? What areas require breakthrough progress? And which ones need steady maintenance? You're not rewriting your strategy, you're simply selecting what should be activated now. If you're a writer, it may be time to finally write that book. If you're an artist, it might be launching your first collection or applying to festivals. If you're building a business, maybe it's the year you shift from side project to full-time. Select the parts of your strategy that can be implemented over the long term and set specific yet ambitious goals. Now, step 2. Estimating your available time. Let's be clear, you don't need to calculate anything in detail. This is just a top-level estimate to understand how much time you can reasonably dedicate to your long-term objectives over the next 1 to 3 years. Just think broadly about your current lifestyle. Do you have a full-time job? Family duties? Is your schedule predictable, or does it fluctuate? Do you prefer slow and steady effort or focused bursts? For example, if you're working full-time with family responsibilities, your weekly free time might be around 5 to 12 hours. If you freelance with a flexible schedule, maybe it's closer to 20 or 30 hours. If you're a student with fewer obligations, possibly more. Once you have a rough sense, take about 30 to 50% of that time for your long-term objectives. The rest will be reserved for short-term tasks, KPIs, and general life admin. You don't need to be exact. You just need a general feel for your capacity. That's enough for now. We are now at step 3, estimating your budget. And just like before, you don't need to calculate anything in detail. This is simply a top-level estimate to help you understand how much you could reasonably invest in your long-term goals over the next 1 to 3 years. Here's a simple way to approach it. Start with your annual income from salary, freelance work, or other sources. Subtract your essential expenses, rent or mortgage, food, bills, transportation, insurance. What's left is your disposable income, the money you're free to use as you choose. From that, a good rule of thumb is to allocate 20-30% toward your long-term initiatives. Things like courses or certifications, art supplies or project materials, your travel for learning or networking. Any personal ventures that support your strategic goals. For example, if your disposable income is around $10,000 a year, setting aside 25% gives you about $2,500 annually, or $7,500 over 3 years. You don't need to be exact, just know your range. That's enough to move forward confidently. Now we move into step 4, deciding which areas of your life actually need long-term objectives, because the truth is, not every area does. Some parts of your life call for major shifts, like starting a business, changing careers, or earning a degree. These deserve structured objectives over the next 1 to 3 years. But others, like fitness, journaling, or learning a language, may not need big goals. What they need is steady consistency. So ask yourself, does this area call for a specific outcome? Would real progress here shift the direction of your life? Does it need more structure, not just routine? If the answer is yes, it's a great candidate for a long-term objective. If not, don't worry, you'll still track it, but in a different way, which we'll explore later. Now we enter step 5, crafting your long-term objectives. These are the 5 to 10 major commitments that will shape the next 1 to 3 years of your life. They're not random goals. Each one should align with a strategic direction, represent real growth, something that challenges and excites you. Be measurable enough that you'll know when it's done, and sit within your current capacity based on the time and budget we estimated earlier.
Let's return to Jessica, our example from earlier. Here are some of her long-term objectives, each tied to a strategic direction. Secure a partnership with a recognized gallery to gain stability and exposure. Develop a large-scale public mural that addresses a key social issue I care about. Complete a new experimental series using 3 unfamiliar techniques and language learning. Attend a 3-week Italian immersion program to gain real-life fluency. Each objective is clear, outcome-based, and time-bound, even if the exact timeline is flexible. Most of them are set to unfold over 12 to 36 months.
If you're not sure where to start, think back to your strategic directions. What breakthroughs would really move you forward? Look at benchmarks in your field. What do professionals typically achieve over 1 to 3 years? And review your own patterns. Where have you made the most progress in the past? And here's one more tip. Keep it focused. 5 to 7 powerful goals are usually enough. 10 is the upper limit, and only if you have the energy and bandwidth, because it's better to achieve 5 transformative things than to chase 15 and burn out halfway. Finally, here's another important recommendation to keep your objectives sharp and clear. When you write them down, use a simple format, desired outcome through strategic method. For example, expand my creative audience through showcasing work in 3 international galleries, or deepen intellectual clarity by publishing 5 reflective essays on philosophy and culture. This phrasing keeps your goal focused and purposeful, tied to both outcome and method, and beneath each objective, jot down 3 things: a rough timeline, like 12 to 18 months, a few key milestones to track progress, and a short note on what success looks like for you. You don't need to overplan, but this structure will keep your long-term goals grounded, measurable, and aligned with your strategy.
To wrap up, today was all about turning strategy into movement. We explored how long-term planning can bring structure to your next 1 to 3 years, helping you move with purpose rather than guesswork. You learned how to revisit your strategic directions, make top-level estimates of your time and budget, and decide which areas of life truly call for long-term objectives, and which can rely more on steady habits. We also looked at how to shape 5 to 10 meaningful objectives that align with your vision and give your efforts direction. Long-term planning doesn't just organize your goals. It strengthens clarity, focus, and momentum. In the next episode, we'll zoom in and break these goals down into quarterly objectives and introduce the idea of KPIs, or key performance indicators, to help you track consistent progress over time. That's when your strategy starts to shape your everyday decisions.